Well, welcome to the LynchPin Podcast. And today I have a very special guest. All of my guests are really special, but it's Mary Jo Smith, aka my daughter. And I am so excited to have you here in person, all the way from California. You're in New England now, so this is great for a couple days. And I thought, well, you know what? You're kind of a Lynch, right? From me.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what a linchpin is, and you've done a lot of personal development with me and Dad and your brother, and some against your will, I think, although it's always been your choice. But like your 16th birthday. And anyway, Mary Jo is quite an inspirational person, even for her mom. I really find a lot of inspiration from you. And I just wanted to introduce you and kind of share with me and all of us here on the podcast your little bit of your life and what you're doing as a new college grad living in California, living the dream. So Mary Jo, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's Mary Jo or MJ.
MJ.
Gone through some brand or name branding when I went to boarding school. I started going by MJ, but I like Mary Jo as well. I think you like Mary Jo more.
I like Mary Jo. I like it all, actually. MJ. I love when you're playing soccer, I say JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes that throws people off when you transferred. And they're going, who's JoJo? Because everybody knew you as MJ. And yeah, you're still my Mary Jo and my JoJo. I guess MJ is good. That's one of the reasons why we chose your name, because your last name is Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it kind of sounds silly, like Mary Smith, but we always knew you were Mary Jo. And after your great-grandmother on your dad's side. And I thought she could always improvise with MJ, JoJo, Mary Josephine, all that fun stuff. And if you really wanted to be, I guess nowadays would be super original, just going by Mary. I don't know a lot of Marys.
I don't know a lot of Marys either.
But you're definitely a Mary Jo in my life. So where can we start? I mean, first of all, I thought this was going to be you somewhat eviscerating me, in a nice way, of course, about real estate and what it was like to grow up with a real estate mom. But I thought maybe we share a little bit about, your life a little bit, what you want to do, and also the success principles that you've learned. You've gone to actually a lot of personal development things for somebody your age, and what you want to do next. So
that's kind of a loaded question.
Well, you have had a podcast, so do you want to talk about that for a little bit when you were at Chapman?
Okay, so during the winter, you're allowed to take classes at Chapman, and I needed to take a communication class, and there was this Chapman radio class, which a lot of people do and love, and the professor is awesome. So I did it over the winter time, and we got to broadcast our radio show twice a week, which was really fun. My name was Banter Bits and Bangers. Still workshopping it a little bit, but it was super fun. I just brought on new people every day or every time I had the show. And it was kind of last minute. I wish I had planned it a little bit more, but I'm pretty good with coming up with questions on the fly. So yeah, sometimes I'd meet someone at the bar the night before, and then they could call in. So I had some random person call in the next day.
Okay.
I need a guest. And they ended up being really cool. They would make music videos and made music. He was on the Nickelodeon show, and he got slimed or something.
Oh,
so, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the green stuff.
The green.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know, it was just random people. One of my friends, he came on the show, and then he told me he was on So You Think You Can Dance, that show with his friends. So a lot of, random people, you ask the right questions and you can get a good story. So
I find, that leads me to, why I think in a lot of ways you're really inspirational, especially for a lot of young people and actually old people too, I would think, because you've really done a lot. I mean, I remember when you were little, your brother went to camp and you were in second grade and you said, I want to go to camp. And they had this program for, if you were second grade and older, the summer after your second grade, and you really wanted to go because you loved it. No electronics. Do you want to tell me about your camp? Let's start with your camp experience first.
Okay.
Did you like it? I mean, you can tell me the truth now.
I know. I really loved summer camp. I mean, I think it was a really good way for me to express myself
It was in
as
Vermont.
a kid. It was in Fairleigh, Vermont, and it was on a beautiful lake. There's two. There's the older girls camp and the younger girls camp. So the younger girls camp is, I don't know which, Lake Maury, and then I don't remember the other one right now off the top of my head. But I don't know. I thought it was a really awesome place. I had a lot of energy as a kid. I think.
Yeah, you were great though. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think overabundance. You were fun.
But I don't know. I think it was just a really good way for me to meet other girls all over the place and have a different community, because obviously Sherborne is a very small, tight-knit community. But I think camp allowed me to meet people from different communities, kind of coming together from all over the place. So
all over the world, really.
It gave me a lot of better sense of diversity, I would say, and just singing songs, and the food was always really good. That was always exciting. There's a lot of traditions there that were also
100-year-old camp. I mean, it's been around for 100 years.
They would have camp's birthday every year, and they'd do surprise ice cream sundaes, and just a lot of fun traditions. There would be Harry Potter Day, which I loved, where they turned the camp into a fully Harry Potter themed day, and we got to pick houses. They had a whole Quidditch match. So there's a lot of fun things. It was very stimulating as a kid. There was never a day that I felt bored. Trying to think, I got really into sailing, got to get some wilderness skills. I mean, I also did Girl Scouts for a while, but I think that summer camp was a lot more of an immersive Girl Scouts.
I think it also helps you connect with older, because you have an older brother, of course, but then you didn't have any older sisters. So to have the camp counselors, that I think was a nice experience. And the other thing is uniforms. You had uniforms. So it was, it also kept everybody kind of on an equal playing field. I know also the parents, we couldn't ship packages to them. So it was only letters only. So that was, I thought that was nice. There was no competition there for who's getting what package and whatnot. So that's interesting. And then you went all the way through, I think through 15,
I think.
And you did counseling for a little bit too, right? Part-time?
I did a part-time half the summer. I took care of the assistant counselors' kids. So I was attached to a tent, so I had campers, but they weren't my full responsibility, because the assistant director's kids were. Scout and Cove. They were super cute. They kept me on my toes.
That's great.
Did a lot of fishing. I would drive them to the day camp, but Cove hung out a lot. He didn't go to the day camp yet, but yeah.
That's great. So did that help you for college, do you think, camp?
I think that camp definitely prepared me to deal with people in different environments. I think, if anything, boarding school prepared me more, because you're living with people and you're going to school. I think camp teaches you how to interact with people and build friendships. So I guess in a way it prepares you for college, but I don't think that I was thinking much about college at camp. I don't think a lot of people were thinking about college.
Well, I don't think thinking about college, but just kind of getting used to living in one of those platform tents or cabin, just living with other people.
I would say that some people in college wouldn't be able to handle that. So I think you get to know other people's personalities more. I mean, I'm trying to think. I was freshman in high school the last year of camp, or maybe sophomore.
Yeah, probably that.
But I didn't really think too much about college, because I committed junior year, so I didn't really make a list of places.
I just think referencing back, but this is something that's interesting regarding camp. So one of the things that I thought I was always torn as a parent is whether you do soccer, because you were an athlete and still are. Some people would say, "Oh, well, what about soccer camp?" And I thought, to me, and hopefully I didn't steer you wrong, I don't think I did, because you ended up doing really well, is it gave you a break from soccer. You weren't the soccer, in the soccer club, the soccer all the time, and also for your body too. I think it kind of gave you a whole natural outlook on, taking up sailing, taking up tennis, just being out there and not having to think about anything related to a specific sport that you were known for. How did you feel about that? Did you feel like you were missing out?
Not really. I mean, I think since I started going when I was 8 years old, and then you go the next year, and then you're 9, and then you're 10, so then it's kind of what you know. So I don't think I had an urge to be like, I want to stop going to summer camp and fully devote myself to soccer. I think that camp became a constant and something I really looked forward to, and that group of people were people that I cherished more than the sport, honestly. I mean, I love soccer, but I think if I would have done it over the summer, it would have made me resent it a little bit because it would just be too much. And I always get injured, but I still managed to get injured at camp a few times, but nothing too major, just the same ankle issues. But I think that learning different skills was a lot more beneficial than just sticking to one skill, because even if I had done soccer camps, it wouldn't have led me to become a professional. And I think at some point I would have wanted to stop. So I'm really thankful that I went to camp and that I still have the camp community and a place I could always go back to if I wanted to. So, I mean, there's opportunities to be athletic and do things. I mean, some summers I definitely should have worked out more going into the preseason time, because there was one year where I didn't do much and that affected my season, but then I eventually turned it around.
Running.
Yeah.
Running.
It was hard to find times to run, because as you get older, you want to be more prepared, and it matters more your preparation over the summer into that preseason, because it's hard to get your weight back when you're not at the same level as everyone.
So anyway, it was really, I mean, you were one of the few people that went all the way through from second grade on. So
there was a handful, but there was 2 sessions. So there was the first and the second. So not a ton of people went full, except probably some of the kids who their parents worked at the camp.
Right. That's a really fun place. So then that leads us into a little bit, then you played varsity freshman year. There were a great group of freshman girls that were really talented. And then 10th grade, we made the decision, that it would probably be good for you, just I think for development and, for soccer too, but also just for kind of having that extra year behind your belt to do what a lot of people do in New England area. I think pretty much, probably it's around the country too, but had you repeat a year, 10th grade, and go transition into boarding school, which is really around us. It's only about an hour away. And it was an interesting summer, kind of figuring that out, and then, applying to schools and all that. And you got in to all 3 that you applied to, and you made a decision to go to one right around here. Well, they all were pretty local. And how did you feel about that? And you can be honest.
I mean, I think that I finally found a group of friends at Dover Sherborne, and I felt like I finally had a sense of belonging. So that was kind of hard for me to leave after I finally felt like I had the confidence, I had the friends, I was excited about soccer, I had ended the season really well. And so then that having to restart and start all over again was very daunting. I think I didn't realize how beneficial it would be until a few years after, and then enjoying boarding school as much as I did. And then with COVID and everything, I ended up still kind of on the same level, because I really thought that year was going to make a huge difference. Like, I'm going to be so apart from my friends, but you kind of realize after high school, I mean, people either take a gap year, and then with COVID, a lot of people did that. And then with college, people graduate from different times or need to take another semester. So I think at that time, I worked myself up about it a lot more. But once I realized it was a for sure thing and you guys were not budging about your decisions, I did make a pros and cons list. And I was like, I'll get to meet some cool boarding school people who maybe can take me on their boats. No, but I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to get different resources and meet a new group of people because, I mean, the Sherburne people were only an hour away. So it ended up working out very well. And a lot of weekends I would come home. So I think at first I was really nervous and very reluctant. But once I met people there and I kind of had another community of people who appreciated me and I felt a belonging there. I kind of not forgot about DS, but I forgot about all that negative feelings. And when you have to go somewhere, I try not to. I'm not going to not make the best of it, or I will make the best of it. So,
And you did. I really
did.
think you did. And I think you just have so much diversity in where you've been. And I feel sometimes I think, oh, did I mess up and not have you be that consistency? But I feel like camp was consistent. We've been here in the same town, consistency, but the different experiences, I think, and you looked at it as experiences. And I think that was great. Did you feel like you were able to connect more with teachers? And do you feel like that's helped you? Because I've been really impressed with how you seem to really get along with and know your professors at school and felt comfortable even transferring, but we'll get into that in a second. Do you think that helped? And would you encourage young people to, really get to know teachers and to not feel afraid of them? Or, tell me a little bit about that, because I was always impressed with that. I was always somewhat intimidated by my teachers, and whether they were in high school or college.
I mean, I think it just depended on the teacher at public school. I think some teachers were a lot more sterner than others. Some teachers had their own curriculum. Some teachers just used standardized testing, so kind of some people, I think that their assignments led you to be more creative and some were more straight up.
But what about you? Because you
For
are,
me-
I think,
What
do you
my
think?
teaching style would
No, more like, how is it that you just feel more comfortable?
I think that took
was that a learning
time.
process because you went to camp, or because you had that experiences with other adults, or just an innate sense of feeling comfortable and asking questions? And
I think at boarding school, because everyone knows everyone, and I guess it's the same at public school, but I think it was it was tighter knit. It was definitely a little smaller, but your advisors would check in with you and they know your teachers. So if you weren't doing well in a class, I think they'd talk to you about it and be like, why is that? And I think you were able to voice your opinions more. And I think you were more seen and heard because your advisor isn't going to say everything that you say. I think there is some confidentiality there with them. But I think that being able to talk about your likes and dislikes with a professor kind of gets you to let it out, because at public school, usually you're talking to your friends about it and it builds up this negative animosity towards them. So I feel like being able to talk about that, but in my eyes, usually only if you're a pretty annoying kid in class, the teacher isn't going to fail you. That's how I always looked at it, is like, if I'm a good kid and I'm showing up and seem like I'm trying, they're not going to fail me. So I feel like I also went out of my way.
I love that that's your bar, but that's okay.
I don't know. I just,
Okay.
I just felt like I always wanted to ask questions and I wanted to be known by them, because I feel like the less they don't know about you, the more they're not going to give you leeway. If they don't know you, they might not feel inclined to help you out. Whereas if you know them and reach out to them, they're going to be like, well, they're making an effort. So I feel like I always wanted to make an effort to say hi or to be nice, because that would lead them to want to be nice back. So I think what you put in, you get out. And that's something I've learned a lot over life.
Well, I just have to say, because I've always been impressed when we've been at parent-teacher conferences, especially, in high school. Every one of them was very impressed with your willingness to learn, willingness to ask questions, and your personality. So I think that was, that's a testament to you. Okay, so let's go into college. I mean, you got stuck in the COVID debacle, right? Your junior year, senior year, when you're thinking about where to get recruited from and SATs and all that jazz. And usually, by junior year. So kind of you were, in a sense, made the decision, okay, the first school that made an offer. And I know I pushed it a little bit. I'm like, just take it. It's a D1. It's, just take advantage of that opportunity. You don't have to do the SATs, and you're committed before, you're done, which is nice, the May or whatever of your junior year. So you were all set. You knew where you were going to go by the time you started senior year. How did you feel about that?
I mean, I am really bad at decision making. I never know what I want. I'm pretty go with the flow. I mean, I think my decision would have been harder if I had performed more well at some of the other soccer camps.
But there weren't any soccer camps.
Well, we went to the ones in California. So we went to the San Diego States, the Pepperdine. There was a big conference in ASU in a lot of those places. And I didn't play as well as I wanted to. And I didn't really get any offers there because I did want to go to California. I always kind of knew that. And then when I went to the Asheville camp, I did really well. I scored 3 goals, and
they make you play midfield though.
But I performed really well, and they showed an interest. And I think that because I wasn't getting a lot of attention from other places, and having a school being like, "We want you, you're gonna play," I was like, "Wait, okay, I like the sound of that." And then I think I always knew in the back of my head that if I didn't like it, I could transfer. Right. But I was very happy with committing and not having to worry about that senior year, because I think I did it kind of right before the start of COVID. I committed there.
Well, COVID started March of 2020. So
yeah.
So graduated 2021. So it was, 2 months after COVID started.
Yeah, it was very much in the beginning phases. And I don't know, the coaches were really nice, and I didn't think too much about it. I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about college now.
Okay, good. So I don't feel so badly.
No.
This is where you're going.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could have tried to apply to other schools, but I think that I wanted to try the D1 route. And if I didn't like it, I could leave, which is what I did. So it ended up working out for the best. And then with junior year at boarding school, I honestly lucked out because I still was able to have senior year. I was still able to have graduation and prom and all these things that a lot of my friends from Sherborne didn't have because they were the year above me. So they had missed out on their stuff. So, I mean, junior year, it wasn't, I feel like senior year is a lot more.
Yeah, junior year is where it got tricky.
Yeah.
Well, junior and then the beginning of senior year too. Because I remember I couldn't even go to outside games. It was kind of crazy around.
I didn't really play soccer much.
Yeah.
My senior year. Because I mostly stayed here. And I didn't start living back on campus until December.
There was very limited. There were very limited games.
So.
That's for sure.
It is what it is.
Exactly. Well, that's a good attitude. That's what it is. I've been accused of saying that a lot too. Great. So then you transferred. So, transferring to me, I think what can be really inspiring for younger people is realizing, when you go to college, people had said this to me from parent to parent that she can transfer. And I always thought, oh God, I mean, that just seems like, oh, you're going to miss out by transferring. But it turned out, a lot of people have said it and it was good for them. And what do you think? I think it was good for you. I really was trying to not have you transfer. Yeah. But you did it against my better judgment. Yeah. And I have to say, I think it worked out.
Good thing we got this on recording. Yeah. No, I'm very happy I transferred. I mean, Asheville is a beautiful place, and I'm really thankful I went there and experienced it and got to meet some awesome people. It's just the school itself. I wouldn't have gone there without soccer. So I think that it's important when you're making that decision, could I see myself at this school without the sport? And I think that's where some people struggle with and why a lot of people transfer, because they put the sport over the academics. And once you're in college, you kind of realize how important it is to take classes you like and be in a major you're passionate about or want a future career in. So I think that Asheville, I was able to, because I was undeclared when I first came there, I was able to take a bunch of different classes. And then I kind of realized I didn't like it there.
Well, I mean, the other thing is the coach change. I mean, you don't have to get into all the specifics, but the dynamics change when the coach leaves and another coach comes in. I think that was probably part of the impetus. And, sophomore year, you finally had to deal with that. The beginning of sophomore year, you really had to deal with the injury. And coming back from an injury and having surgery and whatnot I keep saying whatnot.
I kind of knew after the first year I wasn't going to stay there. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get the surgery, because I knew I wasn't going to play a ton. I think I was just kind of over trying to prove myself to coaches who didn't see or have the vision of me playing and only were recruiting more people they wanted. So when you kind of get that overlook, and I really pushed myself at the end of fall and then all winter, and then to spring I was playing really well and everyone was telling me how much I had improved and did all this work, and then I still didn't see the field. And then
you were able to redshirt it technically, right? Because you didn't play
my sophomore year
August.
I played
injury.
I think I played like one game, and then, or maybe I did preseason and I wasn't playing, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get the surgery. And as much as it was hard not to play, I wasn't really playing anyway. And obviously, it's fun to practice and be a part of the team. But for me, like, I did really want to play, and I knew I wasn't. So I was like, well, might as well get a surgery while everyone's playing, because I'm not gonna play. But I mean, it was still fun. I'm happy I got the surgery, and it taught me how to be a team player without playing. And I think I was very supportive of people. I still brought the energy to every game. I still was the hype person in the locker room. So as much as it was hard not to play, I wasn't completely playing before, so it was just an excuse for me to physically not play because I was injured. So I don't know.
And then, I had your dad and I had no input on you applying, and good for you. You had the gumption to apply to other schools and get into the school you wanted to get into without us having any input whatsoever.
I still don't know why I picked Chapman, and it was the only school I applied to. I was potentially going to apply to Syracuse or USB or USD. But I don't know. I just saw it on this college ranking website, and it seemed like they had a good balance of social life, and location was nice. The campus looked very cohesive and pretty, and I just knew I was going to go there.
So for a lot of people that don't know, you can't just talk to even coaches. You have to apply first, get in on your own, and then after you get in on your own, then you're able then to call a coach, right? That's kind of like the portal system. What do they call it?
It's called the portal, but I mean, mine was different because I wasn't looking. I honestly wasn't looking to play there. I was just looking to go to a school for school. So I didn't even apply to the portal. I just said goodbye to the coaches, and then I just applied as a regular student at
See, I did not know that. Okay.
So I didn't enter the portal. I think it would have been different if I was trying to play at a D2 school, but I didn't really want to. So then I just applied to Chapman, and then after I had gotten in, I emailed the coaches. And then I had DM'd a girl on Instagram who was on the team and asked about her experience. So
and then you got to go on and actually play a lot too, which is nice.
I did.
It was fun to see as a parent your last 2 years of playing soccer. And I think that was also a great way for you to kind of come in as a transfer student to meet people, right?
For sure.
Part of a team. I think that was nice for you too. So now you're out. You transferred all your credits. You got credit. We thought we were going to have to pay for an extra semester. And you got it all done.
I got it done.
You got it done in 4 years. So see, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Which is great. So you're a communications major.
Yes.
And what are you thinking about doing? What do you not want to do? How about we can start with that? You don't want to work in real estate.
I do not. I mean, I think that my time will come in real estate. I definitely don't think it's a bad field to be in. And I definitely see myself potentially renting out Airbnbs to people or finding listings, and think I don't know, when I get my first house eventually, I'll probably get into, I don't know, renovating it, and I'll have fun with it. But right now, I would rather do something more in the entertainment industry, whether it's TV or films or music videos, production. I would love to be a creative producer who kind of builds the team, where you get the cinematographer, you get the director, you get the writer, you get the actors. So you kind of package a potential idea to people and then sell that, because I feel like I'm good at selling things to people and kind of being convincing. So if I just want to keep making connections in the entertainment industry, and a lot of, I think, my friends at Chapman are going to be super successful. And so, like, if I can just keep making, healthy and real connections with people in the future, using those to build, different teams. So if I could kind of be the star aligner.
Yep. The
connector. I'd love to be a connector, and figuring out whether I want to do that more of a creative producing or more of an on-site person who is like directing people where they want to go, or kind of facilitating the vibes there. Because I think that I'm a very positive person. I'm adaptable and I'm creative. So how can I use those to my strengths? And that's why I think marketing is very exciting to me too, because you're trying to think of new ways to promote a product in unique ways. So I feel like I have that mind of being like, oh, like, we should use this person, and this holiday's coming up, we should market to this. So I feel like I kind of like have those lightning or light bulbs.
Right. Lightning,
go off.
light bulbs. Yeah.
So I don't know. So I would love to do something in a creative field. I'm still learning more about different positions, and I just did the coloring and the sound for a movie that I produced. So that was really fun, using Premiere Pro more. So I think that I still want to keep learning skills, and I'm excited to go into a job, whether I love it or like it. I want to just do something and see how I kind of can move my way up too. Because sometimes you get into a job and you might think it might take longer to get to where you want to go, but you never know how much your hard work and what you put into it can show. And I think I'm a very hard worker, and given an opportunity, I'll make the best of it. So
okay, so here's something that I'm curious about is how have Dad and I, when we kind of had you, it's like voluntold. People say volunteer, and they're like, oh, well, I was voluntold. You were voluntold to come to like a Tony Robbins event or a Jack Canfield event. Did that really help you, or did the visualization or books or anything? What made you so positive? I mean, because I know you've taken a lot of those lessons that you've learned. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean,
because we had you walk on the fire when you were 16. We did the same thing for Stuart with Unleash the Power Within.
I think that I don't really know exactly. I think there's been times in my life when I've been really sad and unhappy with myself, whether it be my physical appearance or how other people viewed me, or just insecure about my own personality. And I had to kind of work on myself and look at myself every day and tell myself I was enough, and tell myself little things to keep me going. So I think that reaching a really low point, I realized I was the one making myself feel that low. So I think being able to flip that switch within myself and slowly work my way up to a place where I finally was happy with who I was looking at. And I think you have to do a lot of reflection. And I definitely think that, even when I was really little, you'd be listening to the tapes in the car, the CDs of Tony Robbins, and he would talk about his life and how he was on the streets and then got an apartment and then started to make money, and things kind of started aligning for him, and how he made the best of, everyone who came into his life, and how then he became mega successful. So I think that was always like, it's crazy how people can start from the bottom and get to the top. And I think Tony Robbins and walking on fire, when you're 16, you're going through a lot of different things in school, and you're learning a lot about yourself. And I think that it definitely helped me get in the mindset like, wow, I can do anything. And nobody was really doing that at my school. So I think that also I like to kind of separate myself apart from the rest. And kind of once you are doing the extra steps that nobody else is, that can also trigger your mindset. And I definitely think that moment of walking across the coals was really awesome. But then at the same time, it ended. Then it was over. So to me, it was like, oh, it was sick. And there was all this buildup. And definitely Tony helped us prepare for it. But it ended. Like, I think everything comes to an end sometimes. But you got to kind of look at that. It's like always a bigger picture.
Right. So it's always something you can learn too. It was more of getting over that. It's mindset. Right. And then I think the other thing is, vision boards. I think you've been really good at visualizing what you wanted and really being proactive on that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, I've only made a few vision boards. I'm excited to do one with Jack Canfield coming up. But I mean, even this year I put a collage together because I've always been a fan of collaging. And I think a lot of random things on there kind of came true this year. But I just think that if it's repetition, and every thought you have is energy and it's going somewhere. So if you're directing it towards something, it might not come exactly when you want it, but just trusting that it'll come, I guess, is what I've learned over time, and why I'm so positive, because obviously things have not always worked out how I wanted them to, but they have ultimately in the end. So I think that I don't like to stress a lot over things I can't control. And that's another thing I learned, is how your response to your outcomes.
E plus R equals O. Can you tell people what that is? The event
Plus
equals
the response equals your outcome. So just like how you respond to
the
problems. But I don't really look at my problems as problems. I look at them as challenges that force you to grow. So I think if you're doing the same thing all the time, you're not really growing. So I like to put myself into uncomfortable situations or push people to think deeper about things, because I think that makes life more meaningful.
Yeah, as he says, if you're not growing, you're dying. So keep growing. Constant, never-ending improvement. And I think the biggest thing I learned from Jack Canfield was, take 100% responsibility for where you are, because in your life, and the other thing I loved is I never say, try. And if I ever say the word try, I take it back.
You don't like
I don't
try.
like the word try, but I also don't like the word, I have to. I make myself go back and say, I choose to. I choose not to do that, or I choose to, or, something to that effect, but never that I have to. So, because really we're always making decisions. We're always making, choices. Really, it's our choices.
How did you get into Tony Robbins?
I remember years ago in college, actually your age, in my 20s, probably watching one. If he had it on, when people weren't watching the internet, they were watching TV. And like infomercials, they were called. Do you know what those are?
I did.
And I just remember seeing that, and then just always reading. And I think some of the books that were ones that he had recommended or he had read, psycho-cybernetics, all these different things. So I'd always been kind of amazed by my dad had books and motivational books and things like that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I started, getting more involved in the coaching. So I did, Tony Robbins coaching. This is going back probably 30 years ago, and then got back into it probably in 2016. Dad actually got me. He said, "Yeah, if you want to go, let's go. Let's go." And so I went with my friend Heather to our first event, live event, rather than the tapes and CDs and things like that. So that was really interesting. And then Dad and I went, and then I think the rest is kind of history. Then we had you go. I thought they were really great experiences. Now there's so many people But 10 years ago, there were a lot of people, but now I think, and especially I think COVID changed things. So I don't know. I haven't been to an event in a while. And got you into meeting other people and other different programs. We've invested a lot in personal and business development. Dad has, and I have individually, and I'm glad that we were able to have you learn about, that thing. I think it should be don't you think it would be interesting to have it be in a high school level to learn all that?
I mean, I think there's leadership classes, and I think there's public speaking and those type of classes that are in curriculum. But I think it just depends on where you go and the requirements. I think they're trying to do more stuff in college.
Yeah. That's where I think would be great for you to kind of a little niche for somebody in, the early 20s to, help guide people in that direction. So we'll be learning about emotional intelligence, I guess, and on that in the next couple months. That'll be great for you and see where it takes you to the next level. So I think that really wraps it up for today. And we may have you back on again. We can talk more about the real estate,
psychoanalyzing.
And I think Mary Beth and I were thinking having the two of our daughters kind of do us on Zoom and kind of takeaways from how we could be, how we could, I don't know, like takeaways. We'll just learn because I can't really do a do-over once it's done, honey. But, how to improve or for helping other people that are new moms. There's always room to grow. But anyway, thank you so much, Mary Jo. I'm so glad you're here with me this week. Yes. Before you go back to California. Yes. So I miss you and I love you. And I'm just so glad you're here. And thank you for doing this.
Of course, I love you too.
Help a lot of, help people. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.